100 million people live with depression that nothing can touch. Today, a single-dose therapy just passed its second major trial. Good morning. Welcome to Brightside Daily. I'm Rory, alongside Elizabeth.
And today, we've got 4 stories and a rapid-fire round packed with progress you probably haven't heard about yet.
We're starting with a breakthrough in psychedelic medicine that could reshape how we treat depression.
Plus, Indonesia just made history for elephants, China's clean energy crosses a tipping point, and scientists grew a human spinal cord in a lab. A busy one.
Let's get into it. Imagine you've tried 2 different antidepressants, maybe 3, maybe more, and nothing works. You're not alone. Around 30% of people with depression find themselves in exactly that position. It's called treatment-resistant depression, and it affects an estimated 100 million people worldwide. This week, Compass Pathways announced that their synthetic psilocybin therapy, COMP360, hit its primary endpoint in a second phase 3 trial. Patients who'd failed on conventional antidepressants showed significantly greater improvement after a single guided psilocybin session compared to a control group.
And this is the second phase 3 trial to succeed. That's the part that matters. 1 positive trial can be a fluke. 2 starts to look like real, replicable evidence.
Exactly what regulators need to see. The model here is completely different from daily medication. You take 1 dose in a clinical setting with trained therapists guiding the experience. And the effects appear to last months, not hours.
Compass already holds breakthrough therapy designation from the FDA, which means the review process can move faster than usual. They're expected to file for regulatory approval with both the FDA and EMA.
Now, we should be clear. The full trial data haven't been published in a peer-reviewed journal yet. This is based on a company announcement, and even if approved, scaling access will be a real challenge. You need trained facilitators, controlled settings. This isn't something you pick up at a pharmacy.
But think about where we were 10 years ago. Psilocybin research was confined to a handful of universities under heavy restrictions. The idea that it could become a licensed psychiatric treatment would have sounded like science fiction.
And if it does get approved, it won't just help the people who take it. It validates the entire field of psychedelic-assisted therapy. That's what opens the door for everything that comes next.
So here's a sentence that's never been true before. There is now a country on Earth where it is illegal to ride an elephant. Anywhere. Full stop. Indonesia has become the first nation to implement a total nationwide ban on elephant riding. It covers zoos, safari parks, and tourist attractions across every province. Venues that violate the ban risk losing their operating permits entirely.
And this isn't theoretical. Bali's Mason Elephant Park, which was the country's last major venue still offering rides, shut down its ride operations in January. The ban has teeth.
The animals most affected are Sumatran elephants, critically endangered. Fewer than 2,800 left in the wild. And the process of training elephants to carry tourists involves breaking them through isolation, restraint, and pain. It's called fajan, and it's as brutal as it sounds.
What I find interesting is why Indonesia succeeded where others haven't. Thailand, Cambodia, they've had piecemeal changes. Individual parks going observation only. But Indonesia went straight to legislation, a nationwide enforceable standard.
And the economics are shifting to support it. Younger travelers overwhelmingly prefer ethical wildlife experiences. Tour operators say observation-based encounters now command premium pricing. So this isn't just the right thing to do. It's becoming the smart business move. Enforcement across 13,000 islands will be the real test. But for now, Indonesia has written the template. The question is, who follows?
52%. That's the share of China's total power generation capacity that now comes from non-fossil fuel sources. Solar, wind, hydro, and nuclear have overtaken coal, oil, and gas for the first time in the country's history.
To put the speed of this in perspective, China installed more solar capacity in 2003 alone than the United States has built in total, ever. And then in 2004 and 2005, the pace got faster.
China produces more than 80% of the world's solar panels. Its manufacturing ecosystem has driven costs down so far that solar is now the cheapest form of new electricity generation in most of the world. That's not ideology. That's economics.
Now, the important caveat: installed capacity is not the same as electricity generation. Coal plants run more hours per year than wind and solar farms. So, fossil fuels still provide about 55% of China's actual electricity output. And China continues to approve new coal plants.
That's a genuine tension. But what this milestone tells us is where the investment is going. The infrastructure being built today is for a fundamentally different energy system. And when you pair this with India adding a record 52 gigawatts of new power capacity this fiscal year, 75% of it renewable, you start to see a pattern across all of Asia.
The two biggest carbon emitters on Earth, both building clean energy at a speed nobody predicted 5 years ago. As Dr. Barbara Finnemore at the Asia Society put it, the direction of travel is now unambiguous. Between 250,000 and 500,000 people suffer a spinal cord injury every year. And right now, there is no treatment that can restore what's lost. That's been true for all of human history. Scientists at Northwestern University just gave us a reason to think it won't be true forever. They've created the most advanced, lab-grown human spinal cord model ever made, an organoid. And when they injured it, it faithfully reproduced what happens in a real spinal cord injury: cell death, inflammation, the formation of scar tissue that blocks nerves from regrowing.
And then they treated it with something called dancing molecules, which is a genuinely brilliant name for a genuinely brilliant idea. These are synthetic molecules designed to move and interact with cell receptors the way healthy tissue does. They already have FDA orphan drug designation.
When they applied the dancing molecules to the damaged organoid, the tissue showed substantial nerve fiber regrowth and reduced scarring in human tissue, not mice, human.
That distinction is everything. Decades of spinal cord research have shown promise in animal models that never translated to people. Human organoids let researchers skip that gap and test directly on human biology.
We are still years from clinical trials. An organoid doesn't have blood supply or a full immune system. Growing nerves in a dish is not the same as restoring movement in a living person. But this team now has both the testing platform and the therapy candidate in the same lab, and that combination didn't exist before this month.
Time for our rapid fire round. Here are this week's numbers that deserve your attention.
25. That's how many new high-temperature magnets an AI system at the University of New Hampshire found by scanning 67,000 compounds. Why does that matter? Because rare earth magnets are in 90% of electric vehicle motors, and China controls most of the supply chain. These alternatives could change that equation entirely.
60. The number of years since the last major innovation in male contraception. That wait might be ending. 2 non-hormonal male contraceptives have entered phase 2 trials at the same time. One's a long-acting injectable, the other's an on-demand pill that provides 24-hour protection. Both avoid the hormonal side effects that derailed every previous attempt.
600. The depth in meters where the world's first underwater desalination plant will operate off the coast of Norway. Flotion 1 uses natural ocean pressure instead of energy-intensive pumps, cutting power consumption by up to 40%. With over 2 billion people facing water scarcity, cheaper desalination isn't a luxury, it's a necessity.
And 520.6. India's total installed power capacity in gigawatts after adding a record 52 gigawatts in just 10 months. 3/4 of that was renewable. Solar tariffs in India have now fallen below coal. The economics have flipped. That's your Brightside Daily for Saturday.
If any of these stories shifted how you're feeling about the world today, send this episode to someone who could use that shift too.
And if you want the full stories with all the links and sources, head to thebrightside.news. Everything we cover is there in detail.
Next week, we've got some fascinating developments in food science and ocean conservation. You won't want to miss those.
Until then, take care of yourselves.
And remember, progress doesn't stop just because the news cycle looks away. See you Monday.